All right, so coming from the standpoint of someone who likes to comment on pop culture a lot and watch what's going on in current events, it is very interesting to see the same people who try to demonize women who are victims of violence. Those same people, they turn around and give a lot of excuses for people who are perpetrators, repeat, habitual perpetrators of violence. Y'all already know the drill. If you want to hear me talk even more than I talk already, make sure you go to patreon.com/AdrianExpression. Link is in my description box. We do weekly podcasts over there. We always have a lot of fun. Thanks so much to the patrons. But yeah, going back to what I said in my intro, think about all the people. We'll use Megan Thee Stallion as an example. All the people are talking about, oh yeah, she lying, oh this shit didn't really happen. Think about how many times you've heard like, okay, well that didn't happen, and if it did happen, well maybe she deserved it, or blah, blah, blah. What did she do to deserve it? Not just in Megan's case, in many women's cases, but I'm focusing on the entertainment industry, right, Hollywood music industry. But it's so interesting to see that. So after doing a little bit of research, this is kind of what I'm hearing has allegedly happened, okay? Now, I'm just observing the information that is on the internet, just like the rest of y'all, and we just come here to talk about it. We just come here to talk about it. So apparently, Usher threw this party for Chris Brown's birthday. Allegedly, something happened where, you know, Chris Brown was, the article's been saying like, oh, Chris Brown was like disrespectful or something to Tiana Taylor, who was there, and that's when Usher stepped in, and from there, the situation went left. Reports saying, oh, well, Chris Brown and a entourage jumped Usher. There were a lot of people talking about, oh, well, Chris Brown gave Usher a broken nose, and he was bleeding and all type of shit. But then Usher came back with this video almost like implying, hey, y'all saying that something happened, y'all saying that this big blow up or fight happened. I'm uninjured, look at my face. I'm about to go on to do my set for this Lovers and Friends Fest, which I think something else happened at this fest literally, what, a day later? Backstage, apparently Chris was getting aggressive as well. Now, just based off of what we know, it makes sense that Usher would try and be like, well, nothing's going on here, or at least try to make it seem that things were not as bad as it's being reported. And I'm sure, you know, half the time, especially with like gossipy shit, that's the case. But we saw videos from both incidents where Chris Brown was getting active. I don't think we saw a whole lot of like Chris Brown getting like super physical, but we saw them getting active. There's so many things to say about this. The first one is the obvious, right? I think that like y'all know who Chris Brown is, and y'all still hanging out. Y'all still playing around with his ass. Like y'all are still throwing him parties. Y'all are still, you know what I mean, kikiing with that. Like, I mean, this shit happens way more frequently than we're hearing about. I mean, it's already extremely frequent with Chris Brown's out. Like, all you have to do is do a Google search and you'll come up with all kinds of shit and shit that Chris Brown has been habitually doing since 2000, whatever the fuck. I think a lot of people in the industry know who Chris Brown is, and they expect for him to act in certain ways, especially if Usher's coming out here, you know, like nothing happened, everything's fine. I think they expect for him to act in certain ways, and the only time that it really makes any waves for real is when somebody got a camera or phone around and they recorded his ass, and now his friends are just like, oh shit, well, you know, now we gotta act like we didn't expect for this motherfucker to act this way. Because I'm just like, I don't see why y'all would be hanging around this man consistently and then turn around and be shocked by the kinds of things that he doing. At this point, I don't think they are. I think they come to expect that shit. Especially if Usher was over here trying to elevate him, or, you know, I mean, he throwing parties for Chris Brown. Like, I'm not, bitch, you would have to literally put me under mind control for me to throw a fucking party for Chris. I'm not, like, that shit is crazy. So, that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm just like, for me, it's so strange when you try to have a normal conversation about all of this, and their like Chris Brown's fans come in acting like, oh my goodness, he's changed. Can't you see that he's changed? And it's just like, how has someone changed when when they have not stopped doing the same crazy shit? You know, and they're still doing it. And you're looking at somebody who, like I said in the beginning of the video, is apparently a habitual, aggressor, right? Like a habitual abuse. Like, you're looking at somebody who is doing this shit and who continues to do it. And for some reason, you're like, oh, I don't know what, some kind of, turn this on. For some reason, you're just like, oh, he's changed. I'm just like, what about that looks like somebody who has changed? I mean, and then we're talking about the Lovers and Friends Fest, which apparently is a thing that's happening, that has happened. Either way, and he was acting up behind the scenes there as well, apparently. But for me, I really do wish that the industry, this society, rallied around people who have been, victims of violence, victims of abuse, victims of fucked up ass aggression. And I do wish that people rallied around the survivors and people who had to deal with violence as quickly as they rally and try to make excuses for the perpetrators of said violence. Like, if we as a whole, if we as a society found ways to support these survivors, to support victims, instead of making excuses for violence at every fucking turn just because somebody done made a song that it done made 300 times already. It's like, I just think the industry would be safer. I think society would be safer. I think we would be having more efficient conversations that will lead to really good changes and accountability. Does that make sense? I mean, at the end of the day, you can't tell people who to support, because they're going to support who they support anyway. They're going to listen to what they want to listen to anyway. Even some people pretend like they ain't listening to it or ain't supporting somebody, and they're gonna still do it behind closed doors. So at the end of the day, people gonna do what they do. But I just wish that people would do less enabling just because somebody, famous and got some coin. Like, I wish that people would do less enabling, because it would lead to less violence. It would lead to less people acting like, oh, it's not a big deal, and then this person who's violent as hell continues to be empowered and emboldened. Like, I wish the world didn't work like this, especially with the way, like, we all notice how, like I said before, men who do the violence are often allowed a lot more grace than women who experience the violence, queer people who experience the violence. It's fucked up. Anyway, speaking of violent men, I wanted to show y'all this, because there's a few things I wanted to show y'all before I close the video out, okay? So apparently, this is coming from the Associated Press. A video recording of former President Donald Trump being questioned about the rape allegations against him was made public for the first time on Friday. Just listen to the way this man is talking. You talk about somebody who does not want any kind of accountability? Okay.
And you say, and again, this has become very famous in this video, I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
True with stars that they can grab women by the pussy?
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
He said, if you look over the last million years, that's the million years, Trump? Oh, that motherfucking piece looks like it's been sitting on your head for a million years. You know, that motherfucking wig is a million years old. Anyway, he said if you look over the last million years, that's how it's been, fortunately or unfortunately. So if you're a star, you can grab. And then later on in the video, the lawyer asked, okay, do you consider yourself a star? Since you said the stars can do whatever they want. He's just like, yeah. I didn't imagine who in their right minds would sign up to be this person's lawyer. Like, they're going to take the stand, they're going to get out, and even in the courtroom, and just completely incriminate themselves. That was crazy. Now, speaking of something else that's crazy, I wanted to show you this tweet from Mike Pence. He said, I stand with Justice Clarence Thomas and call on every American to join me in defending this good man and principled jurist. I just found this to be very interesting because over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about Justice Clarence Thomas and how purchasable his ass is as long as you are a GOP mega donor. And Mike Pence just said, hey, monkey, if you want somewhere to dance, if you want somewhere to dance, I got the perfect studio for you. That's what he told Clarence Thomas. And Clarence Thomas is gonna, as long as you got the right price, as long as you got a big jet and some fucking yachts, Clarence Thomas is gonna be right there licking on Mike Pence gooch, licking on the GOP gooch. So apparently a racist put on a racist hat and walked around with a couple of racist rods with their racist ass family, and we're supposed to fucking clap. Look at this couple pretending that they like each other, girl. Apparently I heard that Harry came to that shit. He flew to the UK on one day, I think it was Friday or some shit like that, and they said he was back in the US by fucking Saturday, bitch. Meghan didn't even come to that shit, girl. Take that racist hat and them fucking stolen ass fucking diamonds and get the fuck out of my face, stupid bitch. Get these stolen diamonds back to the country where y'all took that shit for all these fucking necklaces and bullshit that y'all have. Take these sausage built ass fingers that you got wrapped around this motherfucking staff and get out my motherfucking face. That's it, girl. Like, that's it. And then I'll wrap the video up on this. We already know, if you've been just barely online, you'll know that recently a shooting happened at a mall in Dallas. Now, there are some people online saying that we should be passing around the videos of what happened to the victims of these shootings so that the gruesomeness of it can shock people into, you know, making sure that they prioritize gun reform laws and all type of shit, and for us to really seriously have a conversation about gun laws and gun reform and gun control and da-da-da-da-da. There are many reasons why I think that's a bad idea. First of all, that's triggering as hell. That first of all. Second of all, elementary schools was shot up in this country. No video, no matter how gruesome it is, no video will convince these gun nuts that we should have, like, at the bare minimum, basic common sense gun laws that make sense. Instead, you got these legislatures across the country pulling back the restraints on guns. Recently, I heard fucking Ron DeSantis talking about lowering the age that someone can get a rifle from 21 to 18. So it's like, no video, no matter how heinous and disgusting and, you know, terrible, sad it is, no violent graphic video will convince these people at all. They do not care. Clearly, kids are dying. Like, what do you mean? Kids are actually dying. You think a video of that, and they don't give a fuck about that shit. They don't give a fuck about it. So you think a video of the kids dying is gonna change that? They don't care. They don't care. Protect your mind, protect your peace. Don't share them fucked up ass videos. You know, read about what happened, make sure you're informed. But triggering yourself and hoping that it will change, these videos gonna change the minds of these alt-right people who hate, they don't care. They don't care. And I feel like the quicker we get to understanding that these people do not care, they do not care, the easier it would be to just completely sidestep having any kind of conversation, any kind of debate with their ass, and just get to fucking work. And to do the shit that needs to be done. Instead of trying to appease their ass or convince they don't care, and they've proven time and time and time again, elementary school kids are dying and they don't care. It don't matter what you show them on your fucking iPhone or your computer, girl. They're not gonna care. We don't even have time to even have discussions about these shootings before the next one happens. I said before that to me it seems like things are gonna have to get much worse before they get better at all. And I feel like we're just now entering the much worse stage. So it's terrible out here. You can't go to the movies, you can't go to the mall, you can't go to school, you can't sit your ass down at somebody's motherfucking church, you can't go to the fucking grocery store, it's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. Like I said, make sure you check out the links in my description box. Love y'all so much, and make sure that you have a good goddamn day.
You don't even know me, no man. Try to put one on me, hold me, but this ain't the only,